The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience 2020 Travelers Championships picks, bets, preview, one and done, recap of last week. We got it all for you. I do want to let everyone know to play in the best tournament on DraftKings, the Pat Mayo Experience Open. The link in the description of this video and podcast. No rake in the tournament. The best payout structure there is on DraftKings. Expanded to 5,000 spots this week. We fill it up early again. That number's only going to go up, and we'll probably culminate with the PGA Championship. I mean, we had 10,000 for the Masters last year. I'd like to get back up to like 7,500 on a weekly basis. That'd be amazing. So go play in the Pat Mayo Experience Open. Also, smash the like button to the video. Give me your favorite play from beyond 100 to 1 this week. That would be fantastic. And also, rate and review the Pat Mayo Experience audio version. You take your phone when you're listening to it, scroll to the bottom of the Pat Mayo Experience, hit that 5-star button. Boom. It's like a 10-second thing. Less than that. 10 seconds. Although I do know that Geoff Fienberg still hasn't done it.
I said I would last week.
And you didn't.
I didn't do it. I did look for it, though.
You're doing a good job. Supporting the show.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Do I need an Apple account?
No, you can do it on almost any platform. Like, what system do you listen to podcasts through?
Well, I kind of just listen to them through their browser.
Really?
I know, but that's why I'm always looking to rank this thing 5 stars.
Yeah, that one's going to be tough if you're on like Chrome or you're probably using like Safari going through it.
I don't listen
to
a ton. And some not nearly as close as cuss, but maybe in that element, yeah.
All right, well, the write-up for the Travelers is already out on dkplaybook.com. You can find that in the description. The first look for the Travelers Championship show I'm recording it on Saturday afternoons is sort of a, hey, here's who to watch. I kind of like doing it because it's where I got back onto web last week, where I'm just kind of looking at the first 2 days of stats of the guys who missed the cut. But it gives me like, hey, here are the guys through 3 rounds I kind of want to target. Then I watch them on Sunday and be like, oh, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? So I feel like it's been beneficial to me, I think, in terms of my planning for everything. I hope that people are enjoying that. And we got a lot of stuff to get through here. FantasyNational.com, by the way. FantasyNational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. Good week for members of Fantasy National, as it turned out. I mean, we had a good week.
A good week for everybody, but a great week for a lot of people.
So, founding member of FantasyNational.com, Nathan Elliott, constructed the optimal lineup on DraftKings. There is no better lineup within the salary cap that he could have constructed. And guess where he put that lineup, Geoff?
In the
Millionaire Maker. Shout out. Nasty Nate.
That is
$1 million.
That is like unheard of.
Longtime listener of the show, too. Back like Pat Mayo hour days is when Nathan came on board watching the show. So this is amazing. I love winning. I love when we both win, but when everyone can win, it's fucking amazing.
And it always feels better when people who you know have sort of been along for the ride for a long time cash their big ticket. The optimal lineup to actually hit that thing is insane. And I was joking with you. I'm not the big horse guy. I don't know what the exact terminology is, but like the super trifecta, he essentially hit it, and that would probably pay over $1 million.
Yeah.
He called 1 through 6.
Well, no, he did. He didn't have 1 through 6 because Brooks didn't come 6th. He has had the draft because he made so many Eagles. The DraftKings scoring was higher than Sergio.
Okay, you're right. Oh, the Eagle bonanza. And there's so many birdie runs and the Eagles this week. DraftKings scoring. There are a lot of people thinking they were probably scoring well and humbling when they saw their placing, but amazing. $1 million. That's
be nice. I'd use it. I could use $1 million. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. So did you just get right back on the horse this week?
Yeah.
Like roster, because you mentioned you think you only had 5 tickets in the Millie Maker.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I played 20 lineups.
No,
I don't know exactly how many he had. I don't think it was many though.
That's amazing. Good. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see. And it wasn't just him. So over 100 people showed me their web to win tickets at anywhere between 28 and 30 to 1. I guess DraftKings Sportsbook was giving away a $25 play. So I just saw a bunch of people put the $25 play onto web and won. Like, that's great. Free. That's legit free. Cuss so jealous of all that free money.
He's burning it.
Yeah, I mean, we should thank Cuss for tweeting out that using Webb and betting on Webb was lighting your money on fire before the tournament started. That really worked out well for us.
Yeah. He was just piggybacking that whole, like, I don't know, terminology of hating on like a popular player, and he chose to scorn Webb. And
it's funny to see that Webb was the highest owned guy last week on DraftKings at Colonial, and he misses the cut. What happens? No one jumps off, and he remains the highest owned guy at Heritage, and he wins. Like, there used to be a point in DraftKings golf before people were a bit too sharp, like they are now, where if a guy missed the cut, it's like, can't use that guy ever again. He missed the cut, and it deterred no one.
Yeah. I don't know. Webb mentioned that no fans is kind of jarring for him his first round of Colonial. Everything sort of started to get back to Webb form in the second round of Colonial. Obviously missed the cut. I was happy. My ears were perked up to all this Webb talk. He's a guy I don't normally put on my outright cards, but you couldn't ignore it. Short course, Webb Simpson. The irons in the second round of Colonial seem to be back to what they were. And I would say him and Answer never felt like they were scrambling at one point. Because I had tickets on both of them on the weekend, and it never felt like they were out of position, ever. And when Webb was out of position, he'd make these insane shots from the native areas.
Yeah, so we'll get into the recap here in a second. I got a few more shout-outs to go, because it wasn't just $1 million won by Nathan that came through, or any of the 100 tickets. There was a bunch of stuff from Colin, Paul, and Cody from the UFC show last week. I hit a bunch of big parlays. Paul gave us that parlay like 3 weeks ago. We finally cashed it in when Blades won. That was awesome. Looking 2 fight cards ahead. Paul doing the hard work out here. So I even saw people parlay Webb and Blades together. I saw that ticket out there. It only juiced it up to like 37-1 or something like that. But still, Alex Micheletti. Either way, he cleared almost $11,000 this week on DraftKings. Ian, around 150 in, 7,000 out on DraftKings. Michael Kimmey, 61 in, 15,000 out this week. It's pretty good. Corey Eastman, 25 into 1,300. Jed took down the $150 single entry this week. That's, I gotta think that's at least $15,000. 10,000 probably at least. Ryan Fuller, 45 into 1,500. Brian Kofi won 1,750. Nakey Yakey, 125 into 1,550. DLC signed up for FantasyNational.com this week, turned 22 into 155. Sosa, same thing, in his second week ever playing DK Golf, $83 into 624. Great week for everyone. And Sergio coming through for me with that top 6 at 50-1 was... I was hoping he could win. That was a big ticket.
Yeah. There were a lot of big tickets. I had a buddy that had a ticket that paid nearly 10 grand on Hatton Live 220.
Did he play the each way on it?
Yes.
Okay,
and
good.
That
paid huge, yeah.
Over $1,400.
Yeah, like I went 10 and 10 on when I bet Sergio.
What a ticket.
So at 250-1. So if he had won, it would have paid a $20 bet would have paid $3,000. But it was $500 on the top 6. So I was very happy with that.
And I got in on Action Network's Josh Perry's touting on Thursday night of Answer on that that site we like to make fun of. That'll either have a guy 40 points short or 40 points long. While most people had Answer at like 70 on Thursday, they had him at a 125.
There we go.
And people couldn't play the each way there, so lost that aspect of it. But it was a great. He had that early morning Friday round, sort of like Hatton, and just made it all happen. And remarkable. I don't think he also found trouble at any point.
So, yeah, and there's a lot of people jumping on Neiman after round 1, too. So all the guys like who had the poor putting days, like I jumped on Sergio, someone jumped on Hatton, Neiman, Answer, and those guys were the ones who ended up storming the leaderboard. I thought every Answer putt on Sunday from like 35 feet was going to fall, and none of them fell until he basically got to 17.
I
was like, no, don't make this one. Miss it like you did with the rest of them. But Hatton was making everything until he wasn't. So he finally stopped making everything.
Okay. Answer, both Webb and Answer on Saturday had birdie putts all day, and they couldn't hit them. They were not dropping. It was infuriating. Answer was negative strokes putting. I believe late in the broadcast yesterday, the CBS finally acknowledged he's like 74th in the field on the weekend in strokes gain putting. Webb lost strokes putting Saturday. I was starting to get tilted, and Hatton was hitting everything. He was incredibly consistent, almost as consistent as those guys. But on Saturday, he was in that like 18 to 24 foot range, and things were just dropping. Birdie, 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 birdie. And even Sunday, much like the other players who were playing well, he didn't really find trouble until he made that one great part save when he short-sided himself in the bunker. And then he was in a fairway bunker and sort of cut the trees and dropped in the native area and almost made another par. But everyone was hitting these putts that looked in from 4 feet out. Like everybody.
There was nothing more tilting than Berger chipping in on 17. I thought he was going to go on a ride. I was like, oh no, he's going to birdie 18.
He's here again. He's here again.
But then Webb it was so frustrating holding the Webb ticket because I thought he was finished because he was not making putts on the front. Like Saturday was one thing. Like he made every putt on Friday.
So like water found its level a bit on Saturday. We're still the outright betting favorite, sleeping on it Saturday night.
But then he starts on Sunday and then like he missed like 10 feet, missed, 12 feet, missed. Like you don't expect your guy to make all of them. You want him to make one of them. Like that kind of thing, just to get, but he's like looking a bit unconfident on the tee. The irons are like, they're good, but like it doesn't look like he's really feeling it. He gets to 11 or 12, whatever it was, and he made that like 17-foot birdie putt, jarred it. And from that point on, Webb's like demeanor changed, his posture changed. Every time he hit a shot, there was no like, it was just pick it up, walk away. And the putts just started going in center cup every fucking time. It was awesome. And then I got so terrified after Answer made his putt on 17 to get within 1, and Webb had that long one from across the green. He left it 3 feet short, 2.5 feet short. I was like, oh God, he's going to miss this. And Answer's going to birdie 18 after people were like taking victory laps. I don't like to take the victory lap until it's set in stone. I've had it flip on me way too many times.
18 was a very gettable pin. Yeah. I mean, it like maybe not to get at it. The guy who I saw get the closest was actually Rose, and he missed the 3.5 footer we got from the blimp cam. But people were able to get that thing 15 feet under the pin all day and give it a great look. Except Sergio and Answer needed it the most and kind of ended up in similar spots. That, I guess they came out of theirs.
You want to know a fun Sergio fact for the week? He finished 3 strokes behind and missed 5 putts inside 5 feet.
I believe it. Rose might have been the same. Another great week. Just phenomenal.
This is what I wanted to kind of hit on. You tweeted about it, and I had mentioned it right when we came back on air. Like, there's, in terms of the betting, in terms of DraftKings, all you can really ask for is to have a chance on Sunday. And that's just the sweat comes back. Like, oh, you're sweating every single shot. I gave out the most. I called it an awkwardly aggressive fist pump when Webb made the putt on 17. Just stood up off my couch, like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, felt
no one else was around. I felt like a total moron about 2 seconds afterwards. Like, what am I doing? Either way, so you want that sweat. Like, that's fun to have back. But with these all-star fields, these first 2 courses could not have been better. Because I saw Peter Costas tweet out on the weekend that it wasn't like, oh, the narrative that Bombers can't play well at Harbour Town is really out the window. I don't believe anyone said that, either of the past 2 weeks, that Bombers wouldn't play well. The point was the shorter hitters can also play well, unlike going to Doral or something like that, where Bombers only. Or if you look at like the Riviera leaderboard, that is just Bombers and maybe 1 or 2 short-hitting guys. At least at these courses, they're short enough where people can compete. Everyone in the field can compete if you have a good week. And the same thing for Travelers coming up this week at 6,800 yards. Anyone can compete here as long as you're striking the ball really well. So I think that's really made these Sundays super interesting. That if we were at some of the more historic, like Bomber-type courses, that we would see more separation on Sunday instead of having 23 guys within 4 strokes of the leaderboard.
I completely agree. Okay. It was you called it, and I sort of touted it on the weekend that this was something you had been alluding to. And I want to say people might have their shots, but the 3 greatest Webb shots from the weekend, in my opinion, was on number 3 on Saturday, where he was stymied behind a tree and he cut it like a champ.
Oh, that low hook.
Yeah, and he got it like to 18 feet for birdie. He didn't hit the putt. He didn't hit anything on Saturday. And his 2 approaches into 15 on the weekend just skying the
I thought
hybrid.
he-
Yeah, the
I
water.
thought he was in the
'cause
water.
You don't see
Well, the camera didn't know where it went. I was like, oh God,
You
he
just
dunked
know,
it.
yeah, you just know the water's there. You know they can clip the trees. They're trying to take it over. An answer shot on 15 was exquisite as well. But Webb's 2 shots into 15, when even some of the bigger hitters weren't really even taking it on a lot of the tournament, was outstanding. And you can't not mention, I guess, Brooks's shot on 9.
It was reminiscent of the classic DJ drives that like stick out in our mind. The one from Tournament of Champions, the one from Northern Trust. Like when you're that good with the driver,
Yeah.
like you're gonna feast on these short par 4s. And we got so many short par 4s this week. So many. Only one's drivable though.
And before we move on, although I guess we'll talk about him in the breakdown, Bryson, I mean, happy I was able to like resist betting him. Just if I'm going to bet Bryson at that number, he needs to be able to use his best asset. But again, par 5 scoring, at least maybe this is just my memory. Colonial killed him, and I think it killed him again. I don't know, but then he'll get to those par 4s and putt from 10 feet for the entire tournament. And then we're going to get to the tournament, Pat, where it's Sunday and CBS lets us know he's like 21 of 21 from inside like 8 feet. Or, well, I guess you're like hit a ton of putts from inside 8 feet because you count the 1-footers, but you know what I mean? That insane, like, great stat where he doesn't miss anything in that range, and he's going to win tournaments by 7 strokes.
I believe Eric Patterson pointed this out on Twitter last night, that the 3rd round for Bryson has been destroying. It's like classic Fleetwood stuff.
I was golfing the day before the fantasy
DFS Open.
I don't know, that Saturday is horrible too.
So I'm just looking back on it right now. So the
Mexico Saturday, not the Honda Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So at Heritage, he in the 3rd round, he lost almost 2 strokes to the field on par 5s. Gained the other 3 days, but in the 3rd round, didn't make one on par 5. 3rd round in Mexico, lost over 3 strokes to the field on par 5s. 3rd round at Genesis, lost a stroke and a half to the field on the par 5s. And he's a good par 5 player. Safeway lost a stroke to the field on the par 5s in the 3rd round. So it's just something with the 3rd round just isn't meshing with Bryson at all.
He has a Fleetwood Saturday type vibe. I totally agree with that.
So you want to get into the Travelers then?
But he contends every week, even at courses that don't fit his strength, because he's the best player.
He might be the best player in the world right now. So here's the thing. Let's get to Travelers. Travelers Championship, TPC River Highlands, just outside of Hartford. It is 6,841 yards, POA greens with a bent grass mix. I think you could probably try to rely on, putting data is fickle as it is anyway, because there's not a huge sample, different points of the year, different points of the country, but POA is what I'd look for. Or if you wanted to really isolate on some of the POA courses in the Northeast, that's probably more telling. Another Pete Dye course, back-to-back weeks. And again, like the past 2 weeks, you need to, any sort of length will play, but driver means more at this course for a lot of players. Like even the Bombers can really go hog wild if they want. High percentage of greens of regulation, high percentage of driving accuracy from the field versus the average tour event. So I'm just big on ball striking this week. Who are the guys that ball strike the best? Give me them. And there's going to be a couple course history guys because Pete Dye tracks, this course, we just see the same names because it's usually similar players that pop up every single year. But past winners, Shez, -17, coming off a great U.S. Open last year. Bubba, -17. Spieth with the chip in the playoff over Berger to win 3 years ago at -12. Russell Knox, we hit that one, -14. Bubba, -16. Streelman birdied out to win at -15. The Duke, Ken Duke, -12 in 2013. Leishman, Freddie Axe, and Bubba in 2010. This is a Bubba track.
Yeah.
Shocker, I'm betting Bubba this week. I don't care.
I remember that 2010 win. I think it was Bubba's first career win. I think
it was Zurich was his first career win. Another Pete Dye course, by the way.
Where they went off the air with him bawling DeFerty. I was working with Cam back then, and Cam hit that ticket. So it's just Cam
hit Berger and Webb first 2 weeks back.
Giddy up, Cammy. Good for Cam's going to the premium grocery store this week because he always says when things are running hot, you got to load up the meat freezer.
So instead of pressing his gambling and upping his bet, he's just going to go buy better groceries?
Yeah, he's buying better groceries and he's stocking up for the cold streak. So he's still got drumsticks and meat.
Feels like we're going to hit a cold streak here soon. We've hit 3 of 4 winners. You've hit 5 of 6, 4 of 5.
4 of 5, and the one we didn't hit felt like we had it surrounded. So I feel like we're in for a cold streak, but I would have said that to you off air
last week
before Heritage. So let's keep giving her. A lot of people on hot streaks. And again, before we break down the board, Pat, going back to the Adam Scott win, which I think was a 25-28.
I think it was 33.
33-1, and that was followed by Reed in Mexico
At like 28 or 30.
and that was followed by Sung Jae.
33.
And I feel like I'm forgetting.
Hatton was 60.
Hatton 60, and then Berger a 66. Although there were some early 80s.
There's some early 80s. It settled in around 60. So and then we go back to a 28 last week. So like 60 and below is
The part of the board between like that 20 and like 60 to 80 is where my cards are usually compacted, and I'm not the only one on heaters. There are people out there that I think are really doing almost the same. None of the wins have been that surprising.
No, I was off Berger, but a lot of people were on him.
Yeah, I didn't bet it either, but exactly.
But I think it has a lot to do with the courses that we've been seeing. Like we had the huge wind at API when Hatton won, and that kind of neutralized all of like the very, very top end skill and brought them closer to the pack. Same thing at Honda, and that's just a course which neutralizes the best players anyway, because you can't just take out driver and bomb it everywhere. Colonial, Heritage, Mexico's the same way. That we've just seen Riviera's really the only one that sticks out in that mix. That's like a bombers type course. Those 5 all in a row. It just allows so many different people to win. And we're seeing that these 28-1 guys aren't all that much different than the Rorys of the world. Although Rory, Justin Thomas, and Rahm scare the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Rory especially scares the shit out of me because he's there. Yeah. It's just he's only having 2 of 4 good rounds, yet
places he doesn't normally play. He's got a
played
different...
here.
I'm saying like showing up. He would never show up at the Heritage the week after the
He also
Masters.
said he's never going back to Heritage.
It's the week. If it maintains the week after the Masters, he's a guy that's going to try to empty the clip. Like he's at Augusta, as a lot of those super elites are. I fear him every time he gets going. I don't care. I have zero. That being said, the way golf seems to be at the moment, we started a couple weeks ago. He was at the 7s. We're now getting him crossing 10, 12 in this instance. I'm not looking to bet it, but
it's getting there.
But I'm just saying there's no value. Like it's as competitive. Maybe it's the hyperbole of me doing this week in, week out and loving the sport, but it's as competitive as it's certainly been in our lifetime, like week in, week out. And Tiger hasn't even showed up on an odds board yet.
Yeah, no, I think we'll see Tiger next week. Next week's Memorial, right?
Are we back on schedule? Like,
no.
Like we're on a...
No, because it's going to be Memorial back-to-back weeks. That's going to be a thing that happens.
Yeah, one of them's like a super limited field, almost like a WGC type super event.
Oh, I see.
And I think the other one is full field.
Let's see.
I could be wrong.
Schedule and tickets. I'm probably not going to buy tickets, but I'll look at the schedule.
At least they're offering tickets.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just haven't updated the app yet. John Deere canceled. Where are we? Heritage Travelers this week. It's Rocket Mortgage next week. And then it is the Workday Charity Open at Muirfield Golf Club. And then it's Memorial the next week.
Yeah, so I think that Workday one might be like a limited field.
Okay.
And then this next one is...
Well, that'll be great news. I'll get one right up for 2 weeks worth of work. That's fantastic. Yeah. And don't think I have to change too much if I'm talking about the same course 2 weeks in a row. Unless they drastically alter it, which I don't think that they're going to do.
Let's be real, at least from a betting perspective, there aren't going to be many guys showing up at the second event that you're really going to want to have outright money on.
That's true.
When the top 70 players in the world technically just played it a day ago.
Memorial's a class course, too. I doubt okay, maybe we don't see Tiger, not next week, maybe not for the first...
He's going to play both Memorials, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what it feels like it's just shaping up for at this
Play him in the first one, don't play him in the second one?
Oh, I don't know when you're going to roster him in terms of figuring that out, but he's certainly going to play great in at least one of them.
Shout out to Chris Kirk.
Awesome. Back following the Luke List.
Luke List, Chris Kirk on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Good for them. And I blame...
Oh, Arnis is trying to qualify for Corn Ferry this week, I saw. And like Kitayama and someone else from the Euro Tour is trying to qualify for this tournament as we speak right now.
It's something to say, but I'm going to save it for when we're deeper.
Okay. Let's get to the top of the odds board. How about that?
Yeah.
Rory, Justin Thomas, 12-1. Bryson, 14-1. Webb, 18-1. Those are your 4 favorites. I think Webb can compete again at this course. Like, he's playing really well. He got his win. I'm going to go to the pass on Webb. Might use him on DraftKings, but like I'm not going to bet Rory, JT, or Bryson. I think I would actually still prefer Justin Thomas out of those 3. But I like down the odds board a little bit better, like we've been talking about.
I agree with everything you said. If you made me pick one, it'd probably be Justin, which probably feels silly because I do believe in everything I'm saying about Bryson.
And Bryson course history here too. And Justin Thomas.
I don't doubt it for a second, but I don't know. Bryson, everything is always working, but at the same time, it just feels like it's a little off.
Yeah, so I mean, these are the best 3 players.
Hold on. A little off is insulting with how well he's actually finishing and how hard what they're actually doing is. He's outstanding. His form is outstanding. We're on the precipice of certainly him winning an event, and I can make a case he could win every major if you broke them down individually. I'd worry the Marine layer in San Francisco is going to drive him nuts, though.
So nothing really to break down with those top 4. Pass for us on those guys?
From the outright bet, yeah, I got to pass, but it's fun, as I already mentioned. Like, that lowest guy on the board is already tilting up. And let's say Tiger was here.
Tiger be 12 or 14.
Okay, but that might even click the first guy on the board up a little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough to put Tiger in a tournament and not have him as the favorite because people will bet him as the favorite regardless.
I guess, but I don't think people would accept him at 12-1 in his first tournament back.
You think so? Because some people, especially because golf is the only thing on right now, that the moment Tiger hits this board, they could list him at 5-1 and people would bet it. For sure. I wouldn't, but people would.
Okay, I agree with you, and I've never seen people more tilted about a golf like rain delay before.
It happens a lot, but there's so many new people to golf. And it couldn't have asked for, like, the rain delay sucked, but it went deeper into the night, which was nice. And they got everything concluded, which was awesome. And the rain really fucked up people for the first few holes putting wise. Like, Webb came out and left like 2 feet short on his first putt. And I was like, ugh, here we go. He adjusted quickly though. So did Berger. But
Hatton hit the putt that he like spazzed over not hitting.
If these are the first 2 tournaments you've ever watched of golf or bet on golf, you probably couldn't have asked for a better 2 tournaments.
Addicted.
It's really worked well to suck new people in.
Addicted.
And because of the rain delay, it allowed the cameras to readjust on the CBS broadcast of like, oh, and we saw like every shot. Like, that's how every tournament should be. Everything we saw. They finally got to Sergio. They weren't showing Sergio. He started making a bunch of birdies. They finally cut to him. He's in the middle of a fucking like wasteland. I'm like, oh God. Here we go. And he stuck
16.
it. Yeah.
And then followed it up, hit a beauty. He asked it to be great in the air on 17.
And it was.
And you love it. And you watched him make birdie on 17 and 18 coming home on Saturday. And I had a bet, and I was very confident that Sergio and Answer were going to stick those shots a lot better than they did on 18.
Me too. I'm glad they didn't. Yeah. Put it that way. Especially Answer. So this next level of player, we have Brooks, who I forgot you had bet last week. Did you get any sweat?
No, I didn't bet.
Oh, you didn't bet?
No. I bet Brooks in the first event out.
That's right.
And was very like into it. There's unknowns. So I almost had like, oh, he's going to do it this week. He missed the par 5 putt on 15 from about 3 feet, which kind of felt like might have been the end of him.
It was.
But then I think he made a 20-footer on 17, and he feels right. You put him in the fairway in optimal conditions, it's back. His scrambling looked great. I think he even putted well the first event back, despite other things not working for him. It's all happening. We're probably another week maybe from, like, he doesn't even have to win to be 15-1 the next time we do a show.
So the 20 to 40 range, it's Brooks at 20, Rahm at 20, Cantlay is back.
Welcome.
Finally, 22-1, Rose at 25, Xander, Bubba, DJ, all at 28. There's better numbers on all 3 of those guys out there at different places. Reed, Morikawa, Casey, 33. Abraham Answer is the Jason Kokrak of the week. He is now 35-1 to win this tournament, along with Sung Jae. Spieth is 40. Former winner here. Those are your 20 to 40 range. I bet a bunch of guys in here.
I have one bet so far, but this is where I'll probably throw darts.
Yeah,
I guess these aren't darts. These are more like bullets.
I could see getting behind betting Rose or Koepka here. I think those are probably both pretty strong plays, but I shall start my card with a guy who couldn't chip last week, couldn't putt last week, but struck the fucking hell out of the ball. And you're still getting him at 28. I found a 33 on him. Dustin Johnson. Let's go. I put this out on Twitter, and I told you.
33 on Dustin?
Yeah. Remember, I woke up early. I got the 33 on him and Bubba, and they're both down now already. But 28, a fine number on Dustin Johnson. Maybe we can make it back-to-back. 28's Webb closes at 28. Dustin closes at 28. He was top 10 in the field off. He was number 2 to Brooks driving last week. He was top 10 in irons and top 10 tee to green. He's back on POA, back in the Northeast. The other POA course that I looked at that seemed to have a very, like, you have certain guys that play Travelers every single year. Your Bubba's, Casey, Harmon, those types of players. Bryson tends to play it every single year as well. And I went and looked at the 2017 Northern Trust leaderboard, which is also on POA, also in the Northeast, but was a playoff event, so it had all these guys in it. And the leaderboard was Dustin, Spieth, Rahm, Vegas, Casey, Day, Webb, Chappell, Thomas, Streb, Cantlay, another guy who tends to play well at this course, Bubba, Louis, Shez, who just won here last year, Rose, Kuchar. That was your top 10 in ties at the course that year. So I think Dustin's prime, man. We talked about not wanting to. He didn't play well enough, and because he was paired with Brooks on Sunday, we never saw any of Dustin. He ended up coming like T17. Guy, like I said, couldn't chip, couldn't putt. Not too worried about that. The ball striking appears to be back. Once that's back, just takes a little flick of the switch, and all of a sudden Dustin's on a run again. So Dustin 28-1 for me.
I mean, I was able to grab a 30 early this morning on our British sites. Everything you sort of said, and it's the POA greens.
POA with bent mix. I don't really know what the difference is, to tell you the truth, but get him off of Bermuda.
And I'm in. And he's sort of acknowledged in his post that it's like go time. There have been a lot of events in the air, and he's feeling right. He's feeling good. I would probably. Brooks is very tempting. I bet Rose last week. Could be very tempted to go back. He was my one and done last week. Much like someone else you mentioned, Sergio, I feel like Rose missed a ton of, just found some real trouble, made trouble for himself where he didn't have to. And he can clean everything up.
Rose last week was pretty solid across the board. Lost 1 stroke putting, which is not insane. 3 off the tee, 3 and a 4 on approach, and 2.3 around the green. Where we've seen off the tee and around the green historically weighted around the same amongst the top 10 and top 5 finishers at Colonial and Harbour Town. At TPC River Highlands, it much favors driving over around the green. It's almost double as important to the finishers. I mean, approach is always higher, but this is where you don't need to be like super long. There's 7 par 4s from 400 to 450 yards. Like Shez won here last year, but he was good off the tee.
I love DJ this week. I think we're finally going to get an awakening.
I'm ready for it. I never bet DJ either, but this is a good number, man.
Last week when we did the show, I strongly debated making a like Brooks DJ card, and I didn't end up picking.
You can do that again this week,
and they both looked really good. Oh man, Brooks looked fantastic.
Is your boy Ricky taking the week off?
Yeah, I saw.
Or is he like 300 300-1? Because I don't see him on my card.
He's off. We're in Detroit next week, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sponsorship. I think Rocket Mortgage. We'll see. We're taking the week off.
So I'm not done. I'm not done in this range.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm betting Bubba Watson. He's playing well, by the way. I know everyone's going to take him, but I'm fucking betting him.
I think a lot of people are betting Bubba Watson.
I would think so.
I think a lot of people are just blindly taking some of that web money and putting it on Bubba Watson.
I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing.
The most impressive thing about Bubba is how well he played at, honestly, I think I said last week, I was quite surprised how well he played at Colonial.
And he had 1 bad round last week. The other 3 rounds were fine. So
he's playing very well.
And you get him back at the course where he's had the most success. Let's do this. I'm actually shocked the number's not shorter. I got it at 33. It's 28 right now. There's still a bunch of 33s out there. I'd recommend taking the better number if you can find it. But I'm also not done in this range. Geoff Fienberg. I have 1 more play. Who do you think that is?
Okay, I'm going to guess, but I am thinking about Morikawa.
Morikawa, I'm already in.
That's the bet.
35-1.
Yeah, I like everything he does sort of sets up. It is almost off a web. He didn't miss the cut. I don't even.
No, so what happened with Morikawa? He was like -9, I think, going into the final round. However, he lost almost 4 strokes with his irons on Sunday. It's the most he's ever lost in a round. I wrote this up in the column. He's only ever actually finished 2 tournaments in the negatives in terms of strokes gained approach. This was one of them, and he still lost like less than a stroke on irons, despite losing almost 4 in the final round. So when I initially said, like, you want ball strikers, Morikawa's ball striking, upside, and consistency rates out with Rory and Justin Thomas, and you're getting him at 3 times the price. I think he's ready. I think this is, get him off Bermuda, get him back on POA. He's a California guy. These are the types of green surfaces, at least, although this one's in the Northeast, that he's going to be used to. So I like Morikawa a lot. Those are my bunch of 3 there from this range.
Yeah, no, I like all of them. I want to pepper this range even a little farther back, to be perfectly honest.
What do you do with Answer?
I just sit it out. Although there's a nice little run of guys playing second. We see them continue the form.
So
33-1, or I'd just rather bet Sung J.M. I'd rather lay a couple more points. You could bet Bubba for 2 less points at a lot of books. It's hard for me to make the case here.
It's just, is he going to hit every green in regulation again? Like he put in, essentially, he didn't make the putts. That was the big difference. But he basically put in an optimal tee to green performance and didn't win. It's tough to replicate that week to week. Although this course should really fit his eye. He played really well here last year. I don't want to say 35-1 is too short because he's playing so well right now. But it's almost like that time that we didn't bet Russell Henley at 25-1 when everything pointed to Russell Henley, and we missed it. Sometimes you miss it. If Answer wins, we miss it.
Okay.
Then I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Fair points. Way different circumstantially, because that was like a Houston Open, and Henley didn't have to beat these guys.
Yeah.
That's why we just didn't like the number, but the field, you could say, warranted the number. This is still the Super FedEx Cup field that he would have to beat on a Sunday. And yesterday it was Webb Simpson, who's like, what, the 6th best player in the world? Maybe after the win, he's like 3rd. I don't know. The wins do crazy thing for world rankings.
I don't know where he got up to. Yeah, he was 7th.
Like Hatton would have gone to like 8th in the world or something.
Yeah, 2 wins and 2 starts.
I'm just saying.
And he won the Turkish like 5 starts ago. Yeah, you're doing fine.
And Burgers flew all the way up to 31, and that was before his performance this week. So I'm sure could be jumping in the mid-20s.
Yeah, Webb is up to, he passed Dustin, so he's up to 5. Dustin, despite playing like shit, is still the 6th ranked player in the world.
I've made this analogy a lot, Pat. To me, Dustin Johnson feels like Aaron Rodgers.
That's really,
we got
like
one
that.
major, we got 1 Super Bowl. Now there's all these cool young players. You got Lamar and Mahomes and Russell, who are all amazing. You don't take anything away from all those guys, Deshaun Watson, but all of a sudden the guy that was like permanently number 1 or 2 in the world, despite you could argue a closing factor, although I'll always defend him because on a different day, he's a 4-time major champion. Like it's nose hairs and horrible things, and a lot of it may be his own doing. And maybe 4 is too many because maybe it's unfair to give him all of them. But you got to say there's at least 1 or 2 more that he should have, and I don't even want to break them down. When people try to break them down, it just bothers me. It'd be like watching the Chargers game where McCree fumbled when we were going to beat the Patriots in the playoffs after intercepting Brady. He had to run around like an asshole.
Does that make
worst moment of my life?
John Rahm.
I've had a pretty privileged one, but that's the worst.
John Rahm, Russell Wilson. Like people disrespect John Rahm all the time. Like Rahm could definitely go ham bone here.
Well, you were saying Brooks. I'm like, Brooks is getting all this love, but Rahm being bumped up, whatever conversation I was on, that was the conversation I want to have next. Like, why? Also, maybe in 2 days, Rahm could be 22 or 24.
I'd wait for the drift because no one's betting him. Like, if he gets down to 25, I'm saving.
If we get that 20 to 25, like, we
have the 20. The 20's there.
My point being is last week when we did the show, our options, Webb was a 20. He became a 25.
No, he was a 25. We got him at 28.
No, I got him at 25. I thought he kept going up because I thought he started low. But anyhow, Rahm, I could see getting drift because the love of Bryson in that area. Although I don't really see, it's going to be hard pressed to see people betting Cantley. But Dustin
Cantley, but people want to bet Casey. both these guys haven't played yet. I get that.
And you saw Hatton play great out of course fit, and you could argue. I mean, every course a course fit for Cantlay at this point.
But we also saw Hideki come back and was absolute garbage.
Yeah, it went one of two ways. 100%. Though Hatton and Hideki were the two most high-profile players making their first start, right?
Yeah, and it's Casey and Cantlay this week. However, at least Hatton was like 55 to 1 or 60 to 1 or something again, or 50 to 1, whatever he ended up. At least you're down the board. With Hideki, you still had to lay a big price like you do with these two guys. Like, I don't know. At least Cantlay is used to the long layoffs because this is how he tends to play.
It's one of the logic I like Xander in the first event back. Is a guy like seemingly plays so little anyway and contends all the time. Same reason I didn't really want to bet Hatton last week, which almost backfired. I'd rather just bet guys I've seen. And if I could bet Rahm or Brooks for 2 less points, I think I would enjoy that bet more. And considering my favorite bet is Dustin at points even farther back. But Rahm and Xander, anything there?
I think that they're both fully capable. I would have far more faith in Rahm winning this event, but I want a better number.
And you would
and I've already made 3 bets in the 28 to 35 range. Like, I can add one more if I stick. If I'm not like clicking everyone's name.
I understand that. I'm not almost saying for you to make the bet, but Xander feels like. I mean, he had that great first week. He was 28 coming into Colonial. Had a great week. Was like 18, 20. And now he's back to, like, I don't know. Seems like a good bet.
I'm surprised we
didn't. And you didn't think about him with Morikawa? Morikawa was like a stone cold pick there?
Yeah, for me. I've been waiting for Morikawa in this event for a while. I think this is one he can win. Not to say that I don't think Xander can win. I just especially like how this course sets up for Morikawa. Just getting him off of Bermuda, get him off of Bent, get him back on Poa. We should be good to go.
Is this where Reed got? Oh, this is where Spieth chipped in.
I already mentioned that, but yes.
But that was versus
Burger,
not Reed. That was a Valspar playoff was the first Reed.
Yeah,
sorry.
And Sean O'Hare was
talking out loud.
Sean O'Hare was in that playoff too, as I remember.
No, he wasn't.
Reed is interesting at 33 to 1 because I strongly considered him too. But like. For like the first time in like 4 events, the putter was not working at Heritage and he missed it. Like, that's going to happen with like him and Sungjae. I was hoping to see in like the 40, 45, just because they missed the cup, but the books wouldn't react to it. But I think those guys might be DraftKings plays for me. Reed, especially, just because people will go back to Sungjae like they went back to Webb because everyone loves Sungjae.
Yeah, he can't miss 2 in a row would be impossible.
I don't know if he's ever missed 2 in a row. So that I wouldn't say it's impossible, but
no, I'm saying the thinking that people will be stamping their lineups.
But people were back in on Reed last week, and he burned him. People just look for any excuse to get away from Patrick Reed. It's like if Bryson plays poorly, people will be off of Bryson. People hate Bryson. Although the internet is slowly turning on Bryson, that he's now like the best guy in the world. They're finally coming around to our logic on this one. Anyone else from that 20 to 40 you want to hit on?
No, I wouldn't mind crawling a little behind. But at this moment...
I mean, we do go in order of the numbers. So once we go more down, that's who we will talk about next. Trust me.
In on Dustin, and the guys I'm looking at are geez, it's too many to name.
You really want to miss out on a Bubba week? Really? Do you?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Well, I guess Webb won, so that would almost contradict this.
By the way,
just feels
Webb
too
is
easy.
Webb is the Phillip Rivers. Someone, I think it was Rifo, pointed that out.
I don't want to get
yes,
it.
Paul.
Jeff, he's the Bubba Whisperer.
I know,
You
but
called it. That was the nickname you made up. How are you gonna skip it when Pat's saying when he whispers Bubba, you play Bubba? Sorry.
I just like other guys.
Sure.
I don't like this number at Bubba versus this strength.
How stupid are you gonna feel when he wins by 5?
I didn't. Thank God I bet Webb. Because I was going to say, part of the reason I didn't bet Bryson last week, I'm like, it's not that easy. Like, we don't just see it, then everyone says you're the greatest, and then everyone bets you, and you just come out and win. But at the same time, Webb probably got more action, more hype from the people that put picks out there, and he did come through on it. So, I don't know. Will that happen 2 weeks in a row?
I'm saying
Bubba,
yes.
I guess Bubba could do it. And here's the thing. I love anyone putting a compliment beside Phillip Rivers' name. I don't even want to get in there. Like, I don't even want to like.
Well, how isn't that a thing? That's
Webb's won a major.
Yeah, but Webb's won a bunch of tournaments. He tends to win these like tournaments that don't mean anything by and large, and he has like 38 kids.
He named his kid Wyndham because that was his first tournament.
There we go.
Is that the one?
Another guy who has now won both the Heritage and Wyndham, Webb Simpson.
I bet Webb the week he hurt himself in the pool.
Oh, Greenbrier. Yeah, I remember that. Good reporting on that when we found out after lock. It's like, thanks. Appreciate it. The 40 to 100 range. I put it out on Twitter that I am going to go all in on Sergio. I'm betting Sergio at 45.
If he does what he did last week.
He doesn't even need to do what he did last week. He needs to do like 80% of what he did ball striking last week. Just make a few fucking putts. I went back and looked at his shout out Fantasy National. Makes the research so much easier for this one. Use /Mayo, promo code Mayo for 20% off too. Quick plug for me. Past 15 events, he's gained strokes 6 times on the green. But when he gains strokes putting, he's averaging almost 3 strokes gained in the events where he is actually gaining strokes. So if it is a positive week for him, it's going to be good enough to win if the ball striking comes along with it. So that's sort of the type of player that I like. Like, he's a bad putter by and large, but when he putts well, he putts really well.
Yep.
So I'm in. And I called Riviera and Valspar, just 2 courses. I mean, 2 courses where I've seen a lot of correlation between leaderboards, and Sergio has played well at both those courses as well.
And how does that hold up with your Northern Trust comp?
Where did Sergio come that year? Sergio usually skips Northern Trust.
Yes, you're right. He's got the swag to skip like FedEx Cup events.
Yeah, that's usually his game, because he likes playing the Wyndham, because I think that was his first win or one of his first wins as a young man. He always goes back to it. Let's see. I'll research Sergio. You can talk about him a little bit. I'm fully prepared for him to be terrible, but he just won me a bunch of money. I'm going back in on him. Now he can win me more money.
I mean, I guess it's only appropriate to look at like later Sergio, because to take like 25-year-old Sergio stats
he didn't play in that tournament, the 2017,
are irrelevant. But I feel like certainly when this post 40-year-old Sergio plays well, it's a carryover.
He played poorly for so long that it's nice to see the ball striking back. Like, gained off the tee 2 weeks ago, gained everywhere last week. Like, he's a Pete Dye guy, man.
This might be an insult to Sergio, who I absolutely love, but I don't really think it is, because he is so accomplished. You just see Sergio doesn't need to win to be like super happy, if that makes any sense. Feel great.
He's got his green jacket. He's one of the richest golfers on planet Earth. He's one of the richest athletes on planet Earth. He's just playing for kicks at this point.
But I'm
smashing
just saying,
clubs in
but you
Saudi
just saw
Arabia.
Just a hop, kick and a jump, or hop, step and a jump, whatever they say. You're gonna cut that out. You're gonna look like an idiot. But he looked like he was the intensity between smiling from ear to ear after sticking shots. I expect it to continue. Sure, why not?
You know what I saw a lot of Sunday at Heritage? And this is something straight out of your wheelhouse. Adidas kits. I kept thinking that Hatton was Sergio, but then Berger was wearing Adidas. They didn't even show Dustin.
In my notes, actually, now that you mention it, Adidas seems to have come out of the gate and scripted their guys or sent them their new stuff. Nike, I don't know. It's almost been like whatever you had in your closet, just play with. Because there's no consistency among anything the Nike guys are wearing. I know no one else might care about that, but I'm observing that because I wanted to see what they were going to come out with out of the break. I assume they wouldn't be on their schedule and such. We've missed some great Masters major scripting, which hopefully they'll hold on to. I love the US Open stuff because they've incorporated with Wingfoot the Nike like running logo, and they're using it for Wingfoot. I think it's super cool. But Adidas, they're popping, and they also pop because they're showing up on the leaderboards. But for the first time ever, I left the tournament with in forever that Adidas made a bigger impression on me from a gear standpoint, because they're usually just very plain, and they're coming out of that a bit. And Berger and Hatton and Neiman and a lot of guys were there, so you got a full load of it.
And Sergio.
And Serge, yeah.
Adidas loves the international players.
Yeah, well, I think they were owned by an international conglomerate.
I believe it's a German company.
Well, Sorry, I meant to say European conglomerate. Certainly it is, but I don't think they have the TaylorMade ownership. I think that got sold out.
So
that's what conglomerates do.
This entire range, like Woodland kicks it off at 45.
Made a triple on
Saturday. Made a quad on Saturday.
Is that what it was? And then he just sort of...
These big numbers keep happening. What the fuck's going on with them? He's back to old Woodland.
He did it just when
It's just like Finau is 50. And Finau can't stop making bogeys. He's making a ton of birdies. Can't stop making bogeys.
I was feeling good about Woodland Saturday at the Honda. He made like a triple. Next thing you look, I don't even want to follow him anymore. Woodland, I don't think the number is bad because you're seeing a lot of the right things, and it's again a course that really will suit him. Although, as you kind of pointed out, it's insulting to say like these courses don't suit the guys that just hit it longer. That's really like a dumb notion, especially when they're all going to show up here now. That being said, Heritage really lived true to its form.
It had everyone.
But the winner, the player type that won fits. He's the best in the world of that player type.
Agreed.
But
he's like advanced Kisner.
Yeah, Super Poulter.
Or he's like how Super Poulter or how Kuchar used to be.
Or even like, yeah.
He's like, Webb right now is like peak Furyk.
Yeah. Or like Matthew Fitzpatrick is like when Webb was like a 7-year-old boy.
He looks like it too.
It's the player type, but now there's just how a man does it, executes that player type. So the player type thing continued despite all the big players being there.
Also,
I don't want to.
Webb's a bit longer off the tee
than you think.
Than I thought.
And he joked about that because his gains or some progress he's made sort of really gets unnoticed, especially when he's playing great because he's playing beside Bryson. And that's all the talk in the world. And they played together, I want to say, the first 3 days.
They did.
And it, as a guy who loves golf, loves it. You got to go out in the morning and play. You got to come home in the afternoon, watch. It's so awesome like that. Seeing Webb and Bryson both dominate a course playing it very differently is so awesome to me. And that goes a part of what you mentioned leading into Colonial and Heritage, that it doesn't really matter what you do well. You could succeed
as
here.
long as you do it well, you'll be good here.
But to see them side by side, group in and group out, 3 days, both, if you were watching the live, you could have seen it. Just they were mastering the course on Thursday and Friday, just playing it differently, and it was awesome.
And let's talk about people who are like, well, people who play with Bryson, they don't play well. Not this week.
Yeah, no.
Webb played fine. So the other guys from this entire range, like I think Finau is going to play well. I'm not betting him at 50-1. I think a top 10 bet at like 27 plus 275 could be worth it.
What's his best finish here? Because I feel like this is one of those courses where he's like...
I'm telling you, man, he's come, I think, top 5 at every course on tour. One win. Crossover.
Every moment I started to not worry about him per se, he went backwards. But every time he got my attention on a leaderboard, he followed it up with a bogey.
He's played 19, 17, 16, and 15. So we skipped 2018. Miscut 17th, 25th, 25th for Tony Finau.
I don't think a ton separates that bet from Sergio's, though, other than trusting Sergio to actually win the effing tournament.
I mean, Sergio, who has like 30 worldwide wins in a major versus Tony Finau.
Yeah, I get it. No, I'm saying what they do like right.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all.
it's when you say it like that and you compare them, it's a little bit different.
Farther back, I think the number's the same, and we saw some life. And I mentioned last week when we were talking about this player, I said you don't really need to bet him because at 60 or 66, because Neiman was 90. Well, I don't mind Victor Hovland at 60.
So
this week.
I got someone else too. So for the record, when we get to the one and dones, I shall break it down for you now. Would you like to know who was Andercursed for the week?
Yes, I do. Well, I know, and he got the right to pick because he'd pick first anyway, but he had Bryson, I had Rose. You managed to use M on his miscut. That's a skill in and of itself. You get bonus points for that.
I had Webb last week, and he missed the cut. I've had 3 miscuts in a row in the one and done, and I've hit winners 2 of those 3 weeks.
Insane.
So, yeah, so he went with Jocko Neiman as his one and done this week. Buying high on Neiman. Maybe, like, here's the funny thing, though. Neiman's a better bet than Answer. Answer might win, and Neiman might lose. But I think that they did almost like Answer played better, obviously, tee to green, but they were very close in the ball striking department, and you're getting 15 more points with Neiman, who's already won on tour before.
I don't dispute any of that.
Like if you were stuck between them, you could bet both of them. I think they're both fine plays this week. But
of all 3 of them, the one I'm considering betting is Hovland. How do you pronounce it? Because I never do it.
I believe it's Hovland.
Hovland.
It's like it's Xander Schauffele. Not Scheifele. What's that?
Big Dick Vic.
Big Dick Vic. I'm actually going to pass on both those because I kind of patted the top of the card.
Leishman do anything? He's won here,
Leishman's
50-1. A sneaky guy that
got himself into trouble the first hole at Colonial and kind of played well after that. I'm considering Leishman. I haven't made a bet in this range yet. I was really looking at Scheffler at 75. I saw an 80 on him too.
keeps climbing. We started at Colonial, like ridiculous.
Didn't play last week. He was a withdrawal before the event. Non-COVID related, unlike Nick Watney. And now he comes back. Like, again, I said, like, ball strikers. There's a reason I'm in on Morikawa. Like, this could be a Scheffler spot for me. Like, who strikes? Even at Colonial, he was striking the shit out of the ball. Couldn't make a fucking putt. Now he was what? What was he at Colonial? 40?
40.
35?
We'll say 40. Yeah,
And-
maybe it dropped to 35.
And now he's going to be 80? Buy the dip, man. It worked with Webb. Buy the dip. Webb was 20-1. He dips to 28. You buy the dip. Buy the dip with Scheffler.
No, there was dip everywhere. Brooks, dip. I bet Neiman the first event out at Colonial.
He was like 125 or something.
No, he was like 50 or 60.
Was he? He was 125 last
No.
week, I think.
I know what he was last week, but I wasn't there last week, so that was certainly annoying. Yeah, you can get into the dip, but the reverse dip is the Bubba.
Sure, but that was always going to be the case at a
I
course
guess.
where he's won 3 times.
Didn't matter what.
It's just like when he shows up to Riviera.
Yep.
The other, now guys who we're not buying the dip on because it's moving up, Connors is now 80-1. This should be a Connors course, but we saw on the weekend what happens when Corey Connors doesn't go full answer and hit every green in regulation. He can't fucking do anything.
Yeah, I promised to lose a lot of money on Corey Connors this week. I was mad at myself that I didn't do that last week. But again, he's been struggling on Saturdays because he's been there. He might have even been there going into Sunday, just 2 off, right? He was 13. I think minus 13 headed into Sunday, so he's right there.
I believe he was. Oh, I was looking for Kuchar. Kuchar's not playing. I was like, where the hell is he? He's normally in this range.
You reminded me Harmon's a course wizard, but
Yeah,
I
he's
really thought we
80-1.
could catch a number, but I got no interest now.
Yeah, Kisner and Poulter are in here too, along with Fitz. Like I said, Sergio at 45 to me, and then my strong lean, if I want to get into it, will be Scheffler at 80 with the each way. But I don't mind your Hovland. I actually, going through the numbers, I found this to be very interesting. If you had to guess over the last 36 rounds, strokes gained ball striking, which is a fantasy national stat, it combines off the tee 50%, approach 50%. And that is what you want to hammer down on at this course in particular. Who do you think the best player in this field, at least, over the past 36 rounds is?
Victor?
It's Victor. It's Victor, Morikawa, Bryson, Rory, Justin Thomas. And maybe Vic's the play. How was Vic chipping last week? Did he figure it out again, or was he back to his usual self? He was back to his usual self last week around the greens. He gained marginally at the Charles Schwab, but he was 21st. Now,
He made his first ever debut here as a pro, I want to say. Or maybe they let him play as an amateur.
2019, last year he played, he came 51st. He lost 4 strokes around the green, and he lost 3 strokes on the green. Good ball striking week. Gained almost 6 strokes off the tee. The way that his game sets up is he's Rory. Once he learns how to putt and chip, he's Rory.
Yeah, he's going with the Pete Cowan coaching, and it already paid off. I think he chipped in for Eagle on the weekend. Or maybe that was Friday.
No, that was Monday. Or Thursday, sorry.
Oh.
He jarred it on 17 or 18 from the middle of the fairway. Either way, that's what I'm not looking forward to here, is that we get a leaderboard like the one we just had going into Sunday at Travelers, but Rory's one of those guys, and Rory shoots like 58.
Yeah.
Furyk had the 58 here. Like, if you can hit a wedge and start sticking them, start rolling in a few putts. We just see Rory do it so often. It's like 72 or 60. It's infuriating when you don't have him. Well, it's also infuriating when you do have him and he doesn't do the 60. It's like, I finally bet Rory. Rory, why are you shooting a 76 on Sunday? What's going on here, man? Yeah. But, yeah, maybe Scheffler or Hovland. Maybe one of those two. Maybe I should just be smart and bet Neiman, but I probably won't.
He's Anderkurst.
He is Anderkurst.
He's Anderkurst.
I can't wait for him to take Xander. He can be Xanderkurst. Long shots. Thanks, Paul. 2 that I'm looking at here. So I mentioned Riviera and Valspar as potential corollary courses. I mentioned that other one where this guy came 25th at the Northern Trust in 2000. And 17, a course that rewards ball striking, really puts a de-emphasis on around the green. He was 35-1 last week in some spots. Jason Kokrak is now 100-1 this week. I'm going to bet Jason Kokrak at 100-1. Give me the each way. I might play a top 20 on that as well. Like, everyone was so gung-ho to use him last week, and he goes to a course where he shouldn't have any success and didn't have any success because he couldn't putt, because the guy can't putt. But let's get him back here. I like him here. And Max Homa. Max Homa.
160.
160-1. I'm going to be in on that as well. I'll probably play that as a top 20. And before I forget, I'm going to play Johnny Vegas first round leader once those odds come out. Back-to-back weeks, he's had one like scorching round. So hopefully he can do it in the first round here. And he was third at that 2017. He's been playing well the past 2 weeks.
If Kevin Na's healthy, that doesn't interest you?
It's the driving at this course. Like driving the past, especially last week at Heritage, didn't mean, I mean, it can mean a lot if you do well, but you can win at Heritage without driving the ball really well. You'd be hard pressed to win at this course without driving the ball well.
Okay. I mean, the guy doesn't win, but Louis at 100 is pretty enticing.
Okay, Jeff Ulrich.
Play
him. Why not just bet him top 10 then? Bet him top 20. It's like Finau. If you just bet Finau top 10 instead of ever betting him to win, you'd be up a lot of money.
And Keegan, he didn't play last week, I don't think.
Keegan did not. Do you know how many strokes Keegan gained putting at this course last year?
How many?
9.6 and couldn't win.
So it's a happy place.
He's from the area, sure. I'm going to pass on Keegan. I might play him DraftKings.
I want to say that Luke got a tough break. Because he had to know on the first tee that Watney had COVID and he had to have an emergency test. Granted, I think the PGA Tour handled that whole situation very well and transparent. So
I
kudos to them.
I was so worried. Just because I immediately started, like, I was talking about with Webb when he had the 2-foot putt and Answer's in the middle of the fairway. It's like, oh, Webb's going to miss this and Answer's going to make it and I'm going to lose. Like, I'm going immediately to worst case scenario. As soon as the news came out that someone tested positive and it was Watney and he had played round one, I was like, oh God, they're shutting this down again. And I know that the procedures in place have it dictated exactly the way that it played out. We're going to test all the people he came in contact with, see what goes on. Just my mind went to like, we're going to be without golf for 3 months again. We just got it back and it's going to be gone. So I'm glad. I hope Nick, he seems to be doing all right, at least by early reports, him and his family. No one else has been confirmed positive. A bunch of negative first tests came back. So it seems like they've avoided a cluster, but it's just going to take one guy on one of these planes where everyone's traveling and they're going to be fucked. It's going to be like 25 guys have. I saw it. There was a tennis tournament that Djokovic was at this week and like 7 guys tested positive or something like that. Like they have to avoid that.
So then wouldn't you argue the like charter's the worst thing they could be doing?
A lot of guys are just flying probably very like limited flying private. But if everyone's taking the test and they're testing negative and you're putting them on the charter, Watney didn't. I think he flew with Sergio and Sergio tested negative.
You see Sergio's like quote?
Yeah. People got really upset about him with that. He said that there are people who are far more deserving to get it than Nick Watney.
Because he's a good guy.
I think what he meant was like Watney was observing
all the rules.
Like, yeah, like he was distancing, like he was like not shaking hands with people and he got it. And I think what Sergio meant is there's people out here who just aren't doing that whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. I think that's what he meant. It's open to interpretation.
I don't mind.
Sergio's like, fuck everyone else. I wish they got it. I like Nick Watney.
Yeah, no, that's sort of how it read to me at first. A couple things. As it pertains to the bombs or the long shots.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was having these really infuriating moments this week. I almost feel, and you could tell me like, no, it's stupid. You got to just be on your feet and change with the week. I feel like when you like the guys back here, you almost have to ride them for a bit of time because.
Yeah, but I want to get out of that strategy only because look at the past. When was the last time Nick Taylor, I think, is at Pebble? Was the last triple digit to win.
Okay, then we shouldn't even bet them, period.
I am agree.
But I'm saying when you do bet them or find the guys you like, I think it should be more like your Siwoo thing because just as an example, like last week or for Colonial, the longer shots guys that I liked and I touted Fratelli, Neiman, Norin, EVR, I'm probably Connors, and they were all showing up this week, and you just get in this, and maybe it's just because golf was back, and if we were like in the hunt of the summer, I would have stuck with these guys in my lineups or on, placing bets, what have you.
These guys are better for top 20s in DraftKings. They really are.
Of course, but my thought process really is if you are going to play them, I think you just have to find your horses that you like and you trust and that are confident are going to win. I don't know, once in a season or season and a half.
So
and you'll make good on it.
There are a couple guys down here. I'm probably not going to bet them, but like first round leaders, top 20s. I had 4 top 20s, all at long odds. They all made the cut and were within one shot of the top 20 going to begin Saturday's round. None of them finished inside the top 20. It was Bizinut, Duncan, Bill Haas, and the inventor of basketball, the Knights who say, Smith.
Oh, pretty good.
But this week, like there's a couple guys from down here you can seriously consider. Like I said, it'll be probably Kokrak and Homa for me as actual like bets. I'll probably put a few on them to win. But Varner continues, like he didn't play well last week, but him and Neesmith are actually pretty good, especially in the ball striking department. Griot's down to 225. I don't know if he's ever going to win again, but we'll see. Hoagie and Stallings are both at 300 to 1. Like Hoagie's a ball striking whiz, and Stallings played really well last week. Get him back on POA, like that's kind of his jam. Matt Jones and Aaron Wise both hit a lot of greens of regulation, man. Like, you know who has a really good course history here and is sort of the prototype of like the crappy player that I want to back? Brendan Steele. Brendan Steele has a good history at this course, and he's like a ball striking dynamo. He doesn't really do anything else all that well, but at this course, that seems to play. And these are the types of guys that can do what Brendan Steele has done in the past.
Where is he?
Steele's 225. Like, he's been bad, so I'm not going to bet him. But, like, those other guys that I mentioned. We also have this guy. I'm going to screw up this name big time.
Oh, Tigala.
Yeah, I was going to go with the first name. Sahith? Either way, he was his first pro round was on the Outlaw Tour 3 weeks ago. Shot a 62, his first round leader. He is the Haskins Award winner from last year at a Pepperdine. He just won the Hogan Award when they presented it at Colonial. Like, he's the best guy to come out of college. I only mention this because we've seen this type of guy win right away. Morikawa won right away. Wolf won right away. Hovland's already won. Like, should we be just throwing $5 on the each way, 350 to 1 on him? Like, he's an elite player.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. I'm just going to go back to something we said, and I want to bring it full circle. I can acknowledge, because like the people that need to make like a plus EV bet all the time or whatever.
I am not one of those people.
I'm not one of those
I'm a big
people.
minus EV guy.
I'm happy. Like, you're like, oh, because I just said that it's dumb to just bet these guys like ever. And I know you're talking about more like T10s, T20s than actually winning. But I'll come full circle here and say I like having fun. And if there's guys I like at big numbers, I know there's dead fish money. Like, of course, betting a golfer at 150 to 1, it's a dead fish. Like, if it gets a pulse, you're lucky. And it doesn't even pay enough. The 150 to 1 should be 300 to 1, and the 300 to 1 should be 1,000,000 to 1.
I'll be in on the top 20 as well. I'll probably bet him to win only because of this. 350 to 1, it's a nice payday if he wins, obviously. You get the each way on him, pays 1/4 of that number. It's also a nice payday. The top 20 will probably be like 14 to 1 or 10 to 1 or something like that. The big thing is the difference between him. Say the last name again. Tigala.
I could be wrong, but I read it as Tigala.
I read it as Tigala as well. So solid eyebrows.
Where's he
Tigala.
Actually from?
The States. He's out of Pepperdine. Like, he just
went to school at Pepperdine.
He just finished his.
Is he American?
I believe so. Yeah. Maybe he's international. I don't know. I don't have the listing on him. Either way, talent-wise, he rates out not on the same level as like Hovland and Morikawa and even Bryson. When Bryson first busted onto the scene out of college, like, he almost won right away. That I know that the Doc Redmond's another one who played really well last week. The Redmonds, the Griots, the Hoagies, the Matt Jones, the Aaron Wise, the Luke Liss. I know what they are and their talent level compared to this very top level. I don't know what Tigala's talent level is compared to some of these guys. Like, he could be as good as Morikawa. Like, I know he's a rookie, and this is his like, PGA, like real PGA debut right now as a pro, but like, who's to say that he's not better than Neiman? You know what I mean?
100%. And we love those guys.
Yeah.
And as
And
long
now
as you're not,
and
as long
he's
as you're not Big Panda.
Yeah. Is he the most overhyped golfer of all time? I think he missed the cut on the Outlaw Tour.
No, there was another guy. He was
Ty
like
Tryon?
Yeah, that was the one.
That was
That's
like
the
25 years ago. That guy's like on the senior tour now.
That's the most overhyped golfer I can ever remember. Yeah, he's American born. I want to say Orange, California. Nationality, American.
So grew up on POA anyway? There we go.
And this is his debut as a professional?
Yes. Well, his debut as a professional was on the Outlaw Tour, the Lone Tree Classic.
I mean, he
came
qualified
third.
for the 2017 U.S. Open. Missed the cut. Shocker.
That's going to happen.
Shocker.
Unless
Cool.
you're that guy. Who was that guy? Cole Hammer? Was that a guy?
Yes.
You will if you have a strong name, you will live in infamy. You really will.
I want to see Max Mayo on a leaderboard, bud.
Me too. That's it. That's
Okay.
it. So quick picks for me. I'm in on Dustin 28, Bubba 33, Morikawa 35, Sergio 45. Those four. I'm going to give a look between Scheffler and Hovland this week at 66 and 80. Probably pick one of those two. And I'm in on Kokrak and Homa, and I'll give T Gala a shot at plus 350. Wednesday, when I do the live show, I'll have my full card with first round leaders in top 20s, that kind of thing. And I can see like a range of Griot, Redmond, Stallings, Hoagie, Matt Jones. I'll try to whittle those guys down, and maybe Neesmith is another one that I could potentially see as a top 20 bet as well, along with T Gala, and try to hammer down on that. Try to come up with 3 or 4 at decent odds. I think they'll both be anywhere from like 7 to 12 to 1. I'll whittle it down, and that's where I'll be. Johnny Vegas, first round leader as well. Got to remember to do that. Text me and remember when the odds come out on Tuesday.
I don't think you're going to need a reminder.
You'd be surprised what I forget all the time.
Okay, fair enough.
I got dad brain now, man. Can't remember shit.
There it is. Just quickly, Snedeker was hurt, or he withdrew from something?
He withdrew from Colonial. He played last week.
Okay.
I think he missed the cut.
I don't even remember. Dustin and Victor are the bets that are in. I am going to add 2 of these 4 players. You know what? I could probably just be clean with it. I don't want to make an official card, though.
You tweet out what your card is on Wednesday. People can find it there. I'm waiting for that. I don't want to put in any of like the Hovland or the like any of those two, because I want to see if Rahm drops. If Rahm drops to 25 or 28, then
Well, that's the players that I was about to say. The collection of players. I think I'm going to bet 2 of them. And right now, I don't want to say who I'd bet right now, because then I get stuck and I'm a mental midget. I don't want to come off it. 2 of these 4. Rahm, I'd love a drift. Love a drift. Rahm, Xander, Morikawa, and Rose. I'm not a Rose guy. Wasn't a Webb guy. You saw Morgan Stanley on the card last week. I saw great things. I saw a continuation of Colonial, and I enjoy Rose when I don't need to really even depend on the putting, when it is the ball striking that is getting it done for him, because that is the bread and butter, and you hope enough putts will drop, and you have one round sort of, hopefully that's on the weekend, like at Colonial, his opening 7 under Thursday. Those are the 4 that I'm choosing. But
you want to hear some good news?
Yeah.
At the site that we use, Bubba and Dustin have just dropped to 30, so I might have to go bet those ASAP.
What are we talking about?
I'm just looking at the outright to win odds, like the ones that I have on the sheet in front of us. Since we've started the show, they've drifted. Webb is down to 20, Cantlay's down to 25, Rahm has stayed the same, Rose is down to 28, Xander, Bubba, and Dustin are all now 30. And Casey has gone down to 40, Sergio at 50. All right, we're getting better numbers now. Here we go. I like this. I like this a lot. So Dustin and Bubba at 30, Morikawa at 35, Sergio at 50. Boom. Love it. Sorry. People are juicing up JT Poston, by the way. He's now up to 60 to 1. Leishman dropped to 60 as well. And they have now offered the top 6 each way. No, it doesn't look like they're offering the top 6 each way this week. Anyway, feel much better about that now. Love to see it. One and done. Selections of the week. I already mentioned Tim Andikas, the leader. Right now, he has 3 consecutive top 10s in the one and done, which is nice. He is going with Joaquin Neiman. Jeff, who are you taking?
Colin Morikawa.
I will take Dustin Johnson. as my one and done play of the week. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Oh, yes, you have a question.
If you are able to bet live and you don't host a podcast and you feel obligated that you're beholden to things that you're saying, so you just want to make the bets, if you could resist getting bets in and seeing who has that afternoon tea time, like just hypothetically, Justin Thomas goes out early and plays well, and Dustin Johnson hasn't teed off yet, the numbers all go up.
Yeah.
They all go up, and nothing's changed. It's not a shocker that Justin Thomas would play well in the first round.
Agreed.
And I'm just using Justin as an example, but you see some guys with the name value play well. It's like, oh, they're going to win. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, Webb and Bryson actually did, Webb actually did win, and he played well.
Yeah, but what you want is
you
like,
know what I'm saying.
But what you want is like Brooks to go out and be the first round leader through 9 holes, and then all of a sudden, like if you have a good name who's going out and doing it, it pushes everyone back.
Yeah.
When Matthew Neesmith is in first place, no one really.
And
changes.
then like Woodland would go from 45 to like 60 without hitting a shot.
Yeah.
If that's what you're into.
If that's what you're into, me and you by the pool. If that's what you're into.
Yeah.
Flight of the Conchords did not do well in that HBO bracket that I saw on the weekend.
Ah, crap. I just don't know if I'm going to bail on my one and done from last week. Like, I maybe should ride that out a little. I've been Rose. But I don't want
give it some thought. You don't.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to commit right now. We're going through the field here. I just feel good about this tournament. I want to waste my money that I just won.
I'm going to do something dumb.
Okay.
I know the back row is going to snicker.
You're betting Tony Finau?
No.
You're going to bet Ricky
Tony Finau?
Does Ricky Fowler have a better chance to win this week than Tony Finau does, despite not being in the field?
No, but I'm going to take Tony Finau and get double the odds and bet Louis at 100.
Enjoy that.
It's in America.
It is in America.
Whatever.
How many times? He's won as many times as
Me.
Tony has in a real tournament, not the Puerto Rico Open
Also,
in America.
Tony, 0 career wins in the United States.
Mainland. Yeah.
Or that was Justin Thomas's
for
thing
like
for
a couple months, we got to say Justin Thompson never won on mainland USA. And I thought he's only going to be this guy that would win tournaments at like 20.
In Hawaii and Malaysia.
Yeah, like, if it's 20 under, Justin's in play. But if it's going to be like a hard test of golf, I don't know if I like that guy.
He was like 22 at the time.
Yeah. It was all an over. But hold on. I don't want to get into the whole long story of it. But I said from day one, despite my also opinions on Spieth, is it had to drive Justin crazy early in his career. Because I'm sure since he was 10 years old, his win rate head-to-head versus Spieth was probably like 80%. And Spieth was winning everything, and he couldn't win yet. But we'll see.
Right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience at GFienberg17 to follow Jeff. I may get another slew of Millionaire Maker tickets to give away again this week. Smash the like button. That would really help. But I'm going to be doing this giveaway on Twitter at the PME. I gave away $400 worth last week. I'm asking for more this time around. Hopefully I get them. It's usually Wednesday when I do the contest. You're going to be wanting to follow along. I would not turn on the notifications because I tweet far too much. Bad follow, actually, once you really come down to think of it. But I'm giving away money, so you got to follow. Leave the review, unlike Jeff, on the audio podcast. That is the currency of this program. And use fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off playing the PME Open. Lots of stuff going on. You got bucks to spend. You might as well go spend them. Maybe win some more, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!